Hi, my name is Griffin Henderson, and I wanted to give you a quick message here that's very raw, uncut, the inside of SLS, what it's like to be an agent at SLS, what it's like to not be an agent at SLS, the good, the bad, the ugly, the dirty. I want to give you the inside scoop. I actually think that, management might not even like that I'm making this video. I think that when they see this, they're going to think, oh, goodness, what's he going to do now? Oh, man, what's he going to say? But I'll be real with you. I'll be straight up, give you the God's honest truth about every in and out that I don't think that we put out there enough, just to be completely transparent about the way that we do things here. So I'm by the way, I'm an independent consultant. I'm not the voice, so to speak. I mean, I'm allowed to represent the company. I'm a licensed life insurance agent in 35 states. I've got 4 years of experience. That does say something in this business, considering the fact that only 8% of every agent that gets their license will continue in the industry 3 years later. So, if you make it past the 3 year mark, you've made the cut, 8%, top 8% of agents. So you have a little bit of experience. You've been around the block. You've survived some struggle. There's always some struggle in there as an agent. There's so much information in this industry. In fact, that when I was 22 years old, I'm 31 now, I was introduced to this business and I completely was like, stiff arm, no. I'm not interested. I'd rather do what I'm doing over here, which I really wish that I would have found this 10 years ago, because I would be in a completely different place, financially and just with the day to day. And I think, there'd be a lot to say for a person that's been in this business for 10 years. I don't really see a high level producer or a like manager type who's been in this business for 10 years and is not like making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year every year. Anyway, just wanted to say that. I mean, look, I'm not making any income claims here. Obviously, there are people that don't do very well. It's always based on your own individual performance and activity. And I believe wholeheartedly that what you put in is what you get out. And there's so much information out there. It's hard to discern what's the good information and what's the bad information. What's the good? What's the bad? What's the ugly? Give me the truth. Just lay it out to me. Get to it. Okay, so basically, I was asked some questions tonight by someone who's interested in joining the business. So I decided to make this video because I've never seen a video of this type before. So I'm going to go ahead and just lay it out there. Um, I became an agent in 2019. I had had a few different phone jobs at that time. I had had a sales background. I did not mind talking to people. I primarily did it face to face. I had a couple of phone jobs. They were very difficult because they were my first phone jobs. So I changed a couple of jobs. I worked for some good companies, learned a lot, and then kind of found myself in a position where I wasn't working. I was keeping my career options open. And then a friend of mine named Steve referred a person to me and me to a person, and exchanged our information with one another at a networking event, at a sales event, actually. And I reached out to the person that Steve had given the number to me. And I know he doesn't mind me saying this. His name's Justin Von Migen. And at that time, Justin Von Migen, I remember Steve saying, man, the way it sounds like is those guys are over there just printing money. I was like, okay, well, I'll check it out. So I called up Justin Von Migen, and I remember having my first conversation with him, and he said, I said, man, I know you're probably busy, because I was so used to talking to business owners. So I'm like, it's like I'm preparing for the objection of I'm busy, I don't have time, yada yada yada. So I'm like, hey man, I know you're probably busy and we could schedule a time later to talk. He's like, no, let's talk right now. I'm kind of a right now kind of guy. I'm a right now kind of person. And I'm like, cool. So we started talking, set up a time to do an actual in-person interview. I came to his office up in Broward County by Fort Lauderdale in Florida. And I drove up, got to the interview, did the interview, and there was only 8 people, and they were all crammed in a very small office. And I'm like, man, this is not the nicest office. It's called Just Insurance Co. His name's Justin. This is definitely a startup, like startups are risky, you know. And so I'm looking at the phone logs. I'm in there. I see these people on the phones. Justin's standing there, his team standing there. Justin's clearly in and out doing interviews, getting them food and water. Like, oh, hey, I'll buy you guys lunch. If you guys want to make, work, take a short lunch, I'll buy you guys lunch. I'll bring it into the office. I could see him doing that actively that first day. I showed up in a suit. Everybody else was kind of wearing, polos and jeans and just kind of dressed business casual. I'm like, oh, wow. So they're making calls and the calls are just pouring in. In fact, they looked a little something like this. Okay. These are inbound calls. Look at this. These means that I was probably on a call and I had my phone on silent. So someone answered these calls. It was not me. So these calls go to a lot of agents. A lot of agents can pick them up. And this just happens all day. I mean, look, 536, 537, 542, 544, 545, 546. So you can see that they're very closely spaced. And anyway, lots of inbound calls. All right, point is, I saw that system. It's VanillaSoft, VS Connect, which I had used at a prior job. And it's just inbound call, inbound call, inbound call. He's like, dude, I don't have enough agents to answer all the calls that I'm getting. And I came from a job where I had to cold call business owners. There's nothing harder than that. I don't, in terms of sales, there's nothing harder than that as far as I know, aside from being in Canada door knocking for, whatever. So I'm like, wow, that right there was like, okay, if somebody's interested in what we're offering and they had an initial interest, it's game over. Like, I'm going to do well here. I've closed people who did not reach out to me at all and express any interest in what we offered at all. And I was able to close them. So if that's possible, this is definitely possible. Plus, I found out that I got paid weekly, which was nice because I was used to getting paid once a month. So it was kind of nice to make that transition there. And also like what you sell, like if you sold a policy on Sunday, you would get paid on it Friday. I thought that was really cool. And so that's where my life insurance journey began. It was July, August of, it was August of, it was really July because I interviewed. I had to do my test. I passed my test. Started in the middle of August, and then I remember I took the life and health, didn't even need to. It was a very hard test compared to the life only. And then I started on August 15th, 16th with my Florida license. And then I, sold, took me 8 days to make my first sale. I was like, what is wrong with me? Like other people were like, is he going to make it? Like he's probably going to quit. He's probably going to quit. On my eighth day, I sold a policy. On that Thursday, I sold two policies. That Friday, I sold two policies, and it just started rolling. I'd get two a day on average. I'd get about 10 policies a week. I would do that every week. And then I remember in September, my first full month, I did about 30 to 40, 45 tops policies. There's a big difference between 30 and 45 policies, but I believe it was between 35 and 45 policies my very first full month in the business. And that was at Just Insurance Co. with Facebook ads when Facebook ads were a little cheaper. And then, before they skyrocketed. So then fast forward a couple months, Justin makes a business decision to join with a company that had been in business at that time for almost 50 years. And it's called Senior Life Services or SLS. And, he kept talking about these guys in Vero Beach and this company and then who it's ran by and how it's like got some guys that have been there for over a decade. And they were kind of the first group of people to kind of start doing life insurance on the phone. Before doing this business, it was kind of like before about 15 years ago, it was unheard of to be doing this business on the phone. In fact, even when I started in 2019, I would have some people were like, I was a life insurance and agent, and it's illegal for you to be selling this on the phone. And I'm like, well, when was the last time you sold life insurance, sir? Well, it was 20 years ago. Like, well, things have changed since then, just so you know. But even half of our business, half of SLS's business at that time was done face to face, and half of the business or less, probably less, was doing over the phone only. So I've only always done life insurance over the phone. There's been a few times where I was able to sell a policy in person by using our electronic application. So I have some questions that I want to get to about the difference because about a year, fast forward about 15 months, I was looking at a big company. I'm going to just go ahead and say it because I can. And that company is called Family First Life. Now, what had happened was back when I was with Justin, there was a company called Royal Neighbors of America. And what I really liked about Royal Neighbors of America was that they accepted a certain health condition that was very common with my clientele. I'm not even going to get into the specifics of it, but essentially, I really liked this company called Royal Neighbors of America. I really like the product that they sell. I really like how they did business. I liked the phone interview. I liked the application. I liked everything about it. I liked how much they paid. But Senior Life Services did not have that carrier. That carrier was a little bit more lenient on certain things that I was running into quite often that would help me make sales. So I had a buddy who was very close to me in a network marketing company that you may have heard of in the past called Vima. And in college, I did Vima. That was about 10 years ago. And I had known this guy, and he was successful in the business. His parents were actually number eight in the entire company. And he was with a company called Family First Life. I didn't even know who they were at the time. So I looked up just to see, like, oh, who's this company's with? Maybe he can come work with us. And I saw the carriers they were offering. And it was more carriers than I had. And at that time, we only had three carriers that I really liked that I would use on a regular basis. And I felt that we were a bit limited there. And so I actually called this guy up, my old buddy Brad, and I said, "Hey, how's it going? I heard you're working with this company." And he ended up recruiting me to come work with them. And so I did quit SLS. I did go work with Families First Life. I started at 100% compensation. I started at 95, and then I moved up to 105 when Brad, the guy who recruited me, quit. My upline quit. I knew more about insurance than he did at the time. And he was getting a 10% override on me just because he introduced me to the business. And I was like, man, and I'm like teaching him how to do things. And he ended up giving up and quitting. I bring on people, we're doing okay. I got a guy that's still with Family First Life, probably knocking down 20 to 30 grand a month take home commission. He's probably been profiting about anywhere from 18 to $22,000 in profit per month minus expenses. To this day, doing well. I had trained him, and he was a very sharp guy. He would probably do well without my help, but I did know what I was doing. I did do well with SLS my first year. I finished number eight my first 6 months in the company and number 11 my second 6 months in the company. And that's considering the fact that I'm a full-time staff member at my church. I do that from 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night, Monday through Friday. And I also do that from Saturday and Sunday. I have to be there at 9 a.m. and I leave at 6 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday. I've been doing that since August of 2018, since before I got my license. So I actually used to drive up to the Pembroke Pines office. We weren't allowed to work from home at that time. And I would drive there and I would work with Justin at SLS from 9 10 o'clock in the morning until about 4:30. I had to kind of shut it down, get back down to South Florida. That'd take me about an hour to get there, an hour to get back. I was doing this for an entire year. Eventually COVID happened and all this. I worked the whole first year of COVID. At the end of that year, I'm like, yo, I'm doing pretty well. Can I just take my computer home and just work from home? And then I did end up getting recruited by Brad. Fast forward, I'm working with Family First Life. I worked my way up to 125% commission. That means that I could sell a $40 a month policy and make over $480 on that one policy. Bang, within days, like literally within 2 to 3 business days, that money was in my account, sometimes before the client had even made their payment. Isn't that crazy? This is not something that you hear people talk about too much, but I'm being very raw and I'm being very uncut and I'm talking very fast. I may have completely lost you. You may be like, what the heck are you talking about? You've been all over the place. but I've got a lot to cover and a little bit of time to do it. And I'm trying not to make this take forever. So if you need to watch this again, watch it again. Or maybe you've been doing your homework, then do more homework. But I'm just trying to give you the message of the things that I don't think are actually communicated enough and all the videos that I've seen out there on YouTube. Here's some questions that I get commonly asked. I'm going to go ahead and answer them. Feel free to, ask me questions, email me. In fact, I'll drop in my email in here. You can, I'll actually drop my email in the description and I'll give you a way to contact me. Okay. So the first question that I was asked is, what is the release policy? Is it an immediate release? I'm assuming that this question refers to, um, example of that would be like if I'm with the company and I'm contracted with a life insurance carrier, let's just say American Amicable Group of Companies. Do I get to immediately recontract with another agency? First of all, let's back up for a second. There's a lot of terms in life insurance, and if you don't know what some of them are, you're going to get completely lost at anything you listen to. You have to understand that there's an insurance company. Everybody knows, most people know, a Mutual of Omaha is a life insurance company. Mutual of Omaha is Mutual of Omaha, and they offer life insurance. Now, let's say I'm Griffin over here, and I just started life insurance. I just got my license, and I want to go sell with Mutual of Omaha, but I'm by myself, and I don't want to be with anybody but me. Mutual of Omaha actually will not take me until I've been a life insurance for 3 years. What does that mean? I have to go find an IMO, insurance marketing organization. It's actually a subsidiary. It is an affiliate. It is a underneath company. It is a lower level tier to a life insurance company. You got a life insurance company, big, powerful Mutual of Omaha that anyone in the country knows their name when I ask them, or Gerber Life Insurance Company. Got a little IMO over here. That could be considered that could be Family First Life. That could be Senior Life Service. You pick your poison. Where do I want to go work? Who do I want to learn from? Who do I want to grow with? So I chose Just Insurance, little startup. He was actually with a group and he was pretty high up in that group and he couldn't even go direct to Mutual of Omaha. I am the top guy. I'm on my own. I'm with Mutual of Omaha. 150% commission. Doesn't happen that way, guys. Does not happen. You got to go to a company and you got to work your way up, no matter how it is. Or you have to be an agent for 3 years somehow with an IMO, and then you can kind of branch out. Or I guess you could maybe even carry your life insurance license for 3 years without contracting with anybody. And then you could just go direct to the carrier if they approve you. It's extremely rigorous. It's a long process. I don't recommend it. I don't even think it's possible. So that being said, you pick an IMO, an insurance marketing organization. So I picked Justin. I didn't even do insurance before this. I have never been 1099. I had never been commission only. I'd always gotten a base plus commission. So I had that peace of mind on the salary. And then I got that commission from working really hard. So with this, it was like, oh my God, I have to burn the ships. It's this or die, is basically the situation. It's this or I don't eat. It's this or I don't pay my rent. So I had to make it go right. And that's what it is with any life insurance agent. Now, the difference between SLS and Family First Life is this. I'm going to be straight up real with you, okay? I was only able to work basically 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. Every other agents can work till 8 p.m., 10 p.m., but most of them are too lazy to do it. Let's just be real. Most of them are too lazy to do it. I don't know what to tell you, but there is a small percentage of agents that will work ridiculous hours, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours in a week, and Saturdays. And even when I started, Justin was like, why the heck won't anybody work a Saturday? He didn't even know what I was doing on the weekends until I eventually told him. And he was like, wow, how do you do it? And it's just crazy that you work so much and you don't even have a day off. I bet you need a piece of, no, dude, I don't need a day off. I just need to have a big purpose. I just need to have a big passion. So I went to work with SLS and I'm making 50% commission. I went to Family First Life and was starting at 100. It's a huge difference in pay. If Sean Mike, the CEO of Family First Life, was here, he'd say, dude, you're stupid. Why would you go work for somebody who's going to pay you 50%? But here's what we don't talk about enough. And he's like, well, a lead's a lead's a lead's a lead. Any lead's a good lead. They requested life insurance. Did they have a pulse? Did they ask for this? Then they're a good lead. Not true, sir. You have obviously not spent that much time on the phone dialing leads. I mean, I know that word on the street is that you did issue pay $700,000 in your first year or in a single year or something like that. And I don't doubt it because when you talk about selling life insurance and in the home and on the phone and setting appointments for in person, I think you know what you're talking about. But I do think telesales is harder. And I've only done it over the phone. I have had over 10,000 conversations about life insurance with families, and I have personally sold over 1,500 policies since August of 2019. So I'm about 3.5 years in, if we're being technical. My fourth year will actually be in August. So I lied. I've been doing this 3.5 years. Okay. So with that being said, I spent about $1,200 per week at FFL, and I couldn't even hardly get anyone to answer the phone. These leads were destroyed when I bought them. New, age, didn't matter. I bought them right from Family First Life's customer relationship management tool, CRM, directly off of their website. I also used other outside vendors. I used several different vendors. I don't even want to go into all the names because I don't want to put anybody on blast. And you could sit here and say, well, maybe you suck. Maybe you're not a good agent. Maybe you're just terrible. And maybe that's why it didn't work out. No, dude, I actually did make some good sales and I did make some decent money. But here's the dark side. Here's what people don't tell you. When you go become an agent who's fully captive, okay, let's say you're with an agency like, let's get into the actual nuts and bolts of the company, okay? I've described what an IMO is, an insurance company is. You pick that IMO, you get advanced money from a life. They pay decent, right? They pay you pretty good when you work life insurance. The customer makes one payment. The insurance company gives you 9 of those payments as a loan before they've even made that one payment or when they've made that one payment. If that person cancels after 30 days, they'll subtract the 1 month that that person paid, and then they'll charge back the other 8. So that means that the majority of the money you were given comes back away from you like a deduction from your bank account. Except they just have debt with you just have debt with them. It's like a credit card. Now you have negative on your credit card. Okay. This works this way with any life insurance company. It's a blessing and a curse if you don't work. People get into this business and they're like, "Oh, I can take a day off now." And you can if you work really hard Monday through Friday. You need to be writing at least 10 policies a week. If you're not writing 8 to 10 policies a week, and we're talking like actual real policies, not guaranteed issue, meaning that they're not like a cancer person or a heart attack, a heart failure person or an oxygen person or a nursing home person. If you're writing people that are like somewhat healthy and you're writing 8 to 10 of those a week and you like care about people and you do a good job, it's possible that you could have, 8 out of 10 policies stay on the books, and that would be considered good, very good. So imagine if you're bad and half of your policies stay on the books or a third of your policies stay on the books. Can you see how that math starts to go downhill if you're not continually writing policies? This is what people don't talk about in life insurance as agents. So imagine you go work, you're making 125% comp. You sell a $200 a month policy. Woohoo, you make $2,500. Bang, just like that. Anyway, you go and you make your $2,500. Boom, person cancels. Negative, or you're negative. Now you got to write a policy just to get back to zero. We don't talk about this. Okay, then you're at SLS and they give you 50% comp, but you didn't pay $1,200 that week for leads, or the next week for leads, or the next week for leads, or the next week for leads. Because the number one thing you're going to see when you watch an FFL video is you got to have leads, you got to have leads, you got to pay for leads, you got to pay for leads, you got to pay for leads. They say they don't make money off of their leads. I find that to be an impossibility given the fact that I know that those leads are sold multiple times over to other whoever integrity likes to sell them to. I hope I don't get sued for this. Like I'm afraid of saying things like this out loud. And there must be a reason why I'm one of the only one that's speaking out, because like I don't hear anyone talk about this. Maybe I'm doing something wrong by even saying this to you. So I'm actually quite afraid that somebody with a lot more money than me that makes $100 million a year could be like, yo, that guy, get him out of there. Like, who is this guy? What is he? Like, let's oust him, from the business. Let's sue him for saying things like, I don't know. I'm sure they could find some lawyer somewhere that could find a technicality in something that I said and say, you're not supposed to say that. You're not allowed to say that kind of stuff. That's really the whole point of I just wanted to get very raw for a second. So you can go work with someone like Family First Life and you can spend $1,200 a week and you can have your own book of business and the carriers, the life insurance carriers can pay you directly to your bank account, or you can come work with Senior Life Services. They have about six different life insurance companies that they use. It's gonna like if you leave Senior Life Services, any restrictions or restraints when I leave? Yes. When you leave the company, they get to keep all the leads that they bought that they let you sell to. When you leave, um, you can't recruit the other agents for 2 years. It's a non-compete, a standard non-compete that pretty much any company has when you sign up with any corporate company. Grant Cardone's office, you can't sell sales training after you leave Grant Cardone's office, or they'll lawsuit you for a non-compete for doing that by using the I mean, they could say a lot of things about that. Oh, well, he was taking the ideas, the intellectual properties, or the whatever from here, and then he's selling it over here as his own. It's like, okay. Um, so restrictions when you leave a company like Senior Life Services, who pays you a 50% commission starting out, um, they'll keep their own leads. You have to be with the company for 3 years to be vested, meaning you get to keep your renewals. If you go work for a competing company right after you work with SLS, then they will not probably pay those renewals. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure no. I'm pretty sure it's in the contract that you'll sign when you sign with SLS. FFL will say, don't sign a contract. That's ridiculous that someone would have you sign a contract. But what they didn't tell you at FFL is roll up debt. And that they say they won't take your agents from you, but they can, they will, and they do take teams from teams and put them on other teams. Um, any company has the right to take your team from you. If they're above you, they could cancel you right now. They could say, "Oh, you're not writing any more policies. You're done." Also, they're responsible for your debt. If you have cancellations and you owe 10 grand to a carrier, that goes uphill. Bob owes 2 grand to Americo. Bam, Griffin's got to pay that if Bob don't pay it. Griffin don't pay it. Griffin owed 2 grand too. That's 4 grand. Guess what? Larry above Griffin has to now pay 4 grand. And if Larry don't pay it, it goes to the next guy and the next guy until it gets all the way to the top. It has to get paid. It goes to collections if you don't pay it. You can't get contracted with any other agencies if you don't pay it. Um, you know, they don't pay you a salary. This is all commission. You pay for your own leads. These leads need you to show up at their house. They do not answer the phone very well. You have to text them. That's a whole nother set of laws you're getting into when you get into texting people and emailing them and like it's a lot. You have to be able to text, email, phone call. I can sit down at my desk right now, pop open that dialer that you saw and just start dialing people, and I will get somebody on the phone and I could sell them a policy before it's 10:46 p.m. I've sold policies at 11:30 at night because I can dial California. It's only 8:30 p.m. over there when it's 11:30 here on the East Coast. Like I can dial as many people as I want at SLS, and I can, call and help as many people as I want every single week. I have unlimited leads. I have a safeguard retention account in place where, you have a 3 grand little retention account where some of your a little piece of your commission, each policy goes into that retention account, and then it builds, and then it goes to a certain number of 3 grand. Once it gets to 3 grand, they just give you every dollar over 3 grand every single month. They'll give you a fifth paycheck. If you have cancellations, it'll eat into that. But what this does is it allows you to get paid every Friday, no matter what. It allows you to sometimes get advanced before the carrier even advances the money, meaning that they pay you quicker, faster, efficiently. The accounting system at SLS is phenomenal. Like everything's tracked. Everything is tracked. Calls are recorded. Your paycheck and renewals are fully accounted for. You have a back office customer support staff that can help you not spend an hour on hold with a life insurance carrier because they're able to do things and they have a relationship with the carriers that even the own agent doesn't necessarily have. They have instant messenger chat that they could use with life insurance companies. They have the ability to do a recording and send it into the life insurance company versus me having to spend 30 minutes on hold for one person on a policy that I already sold, meaning I can't sell new policies. Now I'm spending half of my week servicing existing business, doing things that, are keeping me from making new sales because I have to spend an hour on hold with the big life insurance company that gets 500 applications a day. With SLS, I don't have to worry about that because I've got a support staff. I've got leads unlimited. They're actually the best leads I've ever called in my entire life. And you're talking to a man who spent tens of thousands of dollars on his own leads, had his own website built. I can show it to you. I've just put a lot of time and money and sold a lot of policies over there. But I actually I had four agents who their debt rolled up to me. Their debt rolled up to me and I had to pay it. And that was over 10 grand in chargebacks, plus my own. So I paid over $10,000. 8,000 of it was not mine. It was written by other agents. I had to pay it and I did pay it. So, that's something they don't talk about like at a company like FFL. But if you write enough business and you're consistent and you keep recruiting, then you won't have to do that. It's true, and that's true anywhere. At SLS, one other drawback is like if I'm in Florida, but I'm from Oklahoma, so I know a lot of people in Oklahoma. If somebody wants to sign up there, I can get a small override on that person for a year, versus like at FFL, I could get an override on somebody in Alaska, California, Hawaii, Maine. I could do that. But there's really no training or system that could compare to SLS's system in terms of dealing with new agents, dealing with new agent problems, answering questions, having the training, having the leads, having the system, having it all in place to make this business like it's just like you come in and you follow the process and you will be successful. There's no fees really other than like, if you don't work a 25-hour talk time week, you're going to pay or $5,000 in annualized premium, you're going to pay $59 a week. If you do 5,000 annualized premium per week, meaning you sold, five $83 a month policies that week, which is not difficult to do, then it's only $25 if you do that. If you do 10,000 in annualized premium, or you do 30 hours of talk time, it's only a $9 a week fee. There's a lot of fees in life insurance that I could go into right now, but you don't have to pay all those licensing fees and all these little fees. Like you don't have to pay the huge fees. Like I have $5,000 to $7,000 worth of licenses probably with SLS that they paid for. Most of it. Some of it Justin paid for, some of it I paid for, most of it, I'd say most of it SLS paid for. Which is amazing. Then just the E&O, errors and omissions insurance, SLS pays for that. You kind of pay for it with that little fee each week, but your vanilla soft alone is $175 a month, $200 a month. They pay for that. That's $2,400 a year. E&O insurance is like at least $400 a year. Your states, that's 5 grand. Your leads, that's 1,000. If you want to really run good lead flow and you really want to be a top producer and slam it, you need to be spending like $1,000 to $2,000 a week. I know some people who have spent $4,000 in a week on leads every week, but they were writing like 50 to 100,000 in annualized premium in a year, in a month. So that being said, can I move to another agency? Of course. As soon as you're released, you don't even have to be released to go to another agency, but you won't be able to use those carriers until 6 months after. Your book of business, they get to keep your book of business. I mean, they paid for those leads. So it's their leads. They paid for it. So they keep it. So this is SLS, right? And so with the upfront cost, there's not really, you just pay $50 to take your licensing course. You do the course, you pay $50 to take your state exam, you pay $50 for fingerprints, that's $150. That's for anywhere you go. Yeah, I mean, you just need good internet. You need to have an Ethernet cable, not Wi-Fi, that runs to your computer. You need to have a good headset. You do not need to have this. This is ridiculous. This is like a $350 headset. And I got a huge discount on it. I should be sponsored by Jabra. Um, what I would say is, you could get a $15 headset. I closed 100, 200, maybe 300 policies off of a $25 Logitech headset you can buy on Amazon. Phenomenal headset. Um, Fees and costs cover all the things that I mentioned earlier. The ongoing recurring expenses are things I mentioned. $59 a week if you don't work. It's $25 if you do a standard minimum standard. It's $9 if you do a very good week. A very good week. This is a captive agency. It's you like you can't go and sell Medicare and this. You can, if you're going to work with SLS, you're going to use their carriers, life carriers. You're not allowed to go do health insurance. You're not allowed to go do Medicare. You're doing this with these carriers because they pay for the leads. Who's to say you wouldn't take 100 of these leads and then go, oh, I'm going to go write them with this place or that place? That's just not how it's going to work. And that's not how it's going to work anywhere. You're not allowed to go work at Verizon Wireless and then go sell those customers anything but Verizon Wireless. Like if you were at Verizon Wireless where I worked and you took a customer's data and you tried to go sell them other things, because let's face it, you work in a cell phone store, you can pull up all these different people and numbers and things like that. It's like, dude, you're not allowed to take those and import it into a CSV, take that CSV, go home, and then try to sell them your vitamin shake from your network marketing company. You're not allowed to do that anywhere. So that's how it is here, especially because they pay for that data. Like those people that are at Verizon Wireless spends billions of dollars on marketing. SLS spends, I'm sure, millions of dollars on marketing, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing that you don't have to pay for. You just have to sit in a chair and dial, you know? Um, that's a great question. Like, I just kind of explained the definition of this independent. A totally independent one would be like FFL, but I already talked about the risk of that. You see the trade-off. I mean, you can be hit with all this debt. You're out of pocket every week for money without the guarantee that these people are going to buy, and they may not even answer. Hell, you may not even really get to have that many conversations. At SLS, I'm on the phone all day talking to people. The leads are unlimited. The quality of the leads is the top I've ever seen, ever. Yes, you get renewals on every single policy that you sell. You can look at some of the commission videos we have on how residuals work. The training is it's unreal how much training we have. In fact, some people probably get too much training before they start and they get into information overload and then they don't even make a call. But I promise you, and I can guarantee you this is my personal guarantee to you, there is no lack of training here. There is the best training here that I've ever seen anywhere. Um, there's 6 different carriers. I can go into the names of them, but would you know who they are? Probably not. Like Gerber's one that you would have heard of that you know the name of. The other ones are specific to what we do, final expense, whole life. They're over 100 years old though. That's pretty interesting that there's 100-year-old plus companies that you have no idea what they are, but there's so many different companies in life insurance. It's crazy. Um, the top producers make 20K a month. Like agents, yeah, 20K a month. Maybe 30K. I know that team builders make $500,000 a month. That's pretty much the gist of it. That's everything you need to know. I hope that this video was helpful. My name is Griffin Henderson. You can find me all over the place. There's not very many Griffin Hendersons ever, period. Griffin Henderson, Oklahoma. Google it. All right, you guys. I work with SLS. I love it here. It's a great company. I'd recommend it to anybody that wants to build a career, a true career. I mean, this is a 51-year-old agency. We've had the same guy running it since 1982. He became an agent with this agency that was founded in 1972 and 1977. His son has been in the business for 15 years. His son's best friend from college. They're both very professional individuals, Grant and James, who run the telesales division, have been doing this for 15 years each, man, practically. since they got out of college, and they're almost 40 now. I know they wouldn't like me saying that, but it's true. And Henry Stewart has been in this business for 15 years. He's been with SLS for over 12 of those years. Justin's been in this business for 5 years. He's been with SLS for 3 of those years. I've been in this business for almost 4 years. I've been in this company for 39 months of that time. Okay. If my math's wrong, forget it. I'm tired. It's 11 p.m. at night. It's close to getting going to bed. But I hope that I answered all of your questions. I hope that someone out there found this useful. I spoke very fast. I spoke kind of chaotically. I went all over the place. But if you're an experienced agent, I think you would have been able to follow with what I said. If you're a new agent, you're going to have to watch a lot of stuff over and over and over again to get the gist of anything that you do. Number of times over equals certainty and results, said my good friend LRH, L. Ron Hubbard. So I just wanted to say that I'm here to help. I'm an agent. I do well. I have helped other agents do well. I have agents that I've trained to consistently write over 5K AP a week. That's 20K to 30K in a month. I have another agent that I trained who's, writes 10K a week a lot, 40K a month. Actually beat me by 2 spots. I did not work an entire month and a half though, just so you know, of those 6 months. But I did train that agent. That agent did beat me fair and square. Um, I I have wanted to go work at other places. The one thing I've done that I've been guilty of is I do get offered lots of jobs and opportunities, and it's called shiny rock syndrome or shiny object syndrome. I don't know what they call it, but it's kind of funny because you see something that looks really good and you think the grass is green on the other side and you're capable of a lot and you're still in your 20s and you're like, oh, I want to go see what this is like or what's this like? What'd it be like to sell solar? Oh, my buddy over here sells to this certain thing. Like you get offered jobs and opportunities along the way. And if you're pretty good at selling, you're pretty good at talking to people and you're a hard worker, then people are going to want to hire you. But the most successful people that I've seen do anything anywhere at all, like the guaranteed, like for real, like you're going to make it, is the people that just said, hey, I'm going to master this and I'm going to do this for 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 years. You will make what you're trying to make. You will accomplish what you're trying to do. But the question is like, how successful can and will you be? What will you create? What could come from this opportunity? Are you going to be allowed to grow? Are you going to be allowed to think outside of the box? Are you going to be allowed to add value to the business? Well, I can tell you right now, if you're not working hard, you're not being consistent, and you're not doing the right things, nobody's going to listen to you. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. But you got to be there for people. You got to be there for your new agents. You have to have a track record. People have to know that you're going to work for them. People have to know that you have the right information, that you know what you're talking about, that you've been through it, you know. And so that's really what it comes down to. And I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours working on myself, and I have a lot to give and a lot to offer. And I work hard and I sacrifice a lot. And I don't party, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. Um, if there's a celebration or holiday, you might have a drink with friends or family, but it's just for me, it's like I have a big purpose. I want to help people. My dad helps get people off of drugs. He's an interventionist. He talks to kids about the truth about drugs. We have a big passion for humanitarian work, helping other people. We want to make the world a better place in the way we found it. And, if I'm the kind of person that you could see yourself wanting to work with, then by all means, let's do it. Let's make it happen because I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, I've been to a lot of places, I've known a lot of people in a lot of different industries. I just have lots of conversations. I have lots of friends all over the world that I've met through my religion, through my church, through the Navy, through college, through living in different states, California, Hawaii, Virginia, Illinois, Texas, Oklahoma. I've been there, been all over. And of course, the world. Haven't gotten to go to a lot of other countries, but I know a lot of people from a lot of other countries that I've spent a lot of time with. So, and I've grew up around a lot of people that were from other places at a very young age. So I've gotten to kind of know my fellow man and woman, like what do people want? What drives them? Like what do people want? Like what are they trying to get out of life? Like what's your hobby? What's your passion? What do you want to do? I'm interested in you as a person. Like what's your goal? Where do you want to go? How big can you get? Do you want to just kind of get by and do you want to do okay here? Or do you want to be a top producer, And obviously, everybody who recruits you is going to want to try to be like, I want you to be the best. And, everyone always talks big when they go into something, but then you see what they actually do when they start. And it always just comes down to what are you actually going to do when you get off of this call, when you get off of this Zoom? What am I going to do when I get off this Zoom? What am I going to do for you when you come work here? Like, am I going to follow through? Well, hey, if by the end of this video you're not convinced that that's possible and that this is the kind of person that you want to work with that would go above and beyond for you, then by all means, no worries, because if you go work somewhere else, you're going to get to experience that. And sometimes you need that experience in order to really find out what's good for you. And that's actually all that matters is what works for you. But I can tell you that this is a big, big ocean, man. Like, look at that ocean. If you could just imagine, like, how many fish are in that ocean behind me by the San Francisco Bay, I believe that's the Golden Gate Bridge. Um, then there's a lot there, right? How do you find like the actual senior data, the senior information from that huge ocean out there, which is insurance? Well, look, I've seen it, I've done it, I've been there, I've tried it. These are all good questions. Everybody should have those questions. I hope that this answers all those questions. I hope that, some of the mystery that maybe isn't covered in other videos is dispelled here. And I hope everybody had a great Easter yesterday. Let's make 2023 the best one yet, and let's continue to build every single year and get better every day. All right, you guys have a good night.